The night was thick with heat as Julia stepped out of the car, her heels tapping softly against the marble entrance of the hotel. Her dress clung to her, every curve like silk, painted onto skin. Her husband Daniel stayed behind in the driver's seat, watching her go with eyes that flickered, with a mix of shame and ambition. He had handed her the key to the suite earlier in the evening, his voice low and hoarse, as he said, "It's tonight he's waiting. Just act like you care, and everything will be fine." She hadn't answered. Not with words, but with the slight stiffening of her spine. The lift doors opened, swallowing her in mirrored silence. Her reflection looked back at her with questioning eyes. Eyes that remembered their vows, their quiet, dinners, their laughter, that once came so easy, now clouded by whispers of boardroom favors and backdoor deals. The hallway stretched long before her, each step echoing in her ears, until she stood before the door, the number etched in her mind room, 1703. Her hand hovered before the handle, and for a heartbeat she wished she could turn back. She wished he would stop her run after her. Say this isn't right. But the silence behind her was damning and final. Inside the room the lights were dimmed, and he stood there, waiting. Mr. Randall, the man who held her husband's career in his palm, tall, broad, with a hunger in his gaze that made her breath hitch. He smiled, but it wasn't kind. It was knowing. He offered her a drink, but she declined. He stepped closer, his voice a purr. "I didn't expect you'd actually come." "Neither did I," she whispered. "And yet here I am." He touched her arm lightly, tracing the bare skin leading to her shoulder. Her body tensed, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she looked into his eyes, daring herself to feel nothing, to stay numb, to make it quick and meaningless. But the moment his lips found her neck, something in her trembled and melted. He led her to the bed slowly, as though unwrapping a gift he'd long anticipated. Each touch deliberate, each glance heavy. Her dress slipped from her shoulders, pooling around her feet as he drank her in with eyes full of hunger and triumph. She told herself it was just her body, just flesh. But when he laid her down, when his hands explored her with practiced patience, her breath caught and her fingers gripped the sheets. Not from fear, not from shame, but from the rising storm within her. His mouth found every soft secret place, her sighs growing louder, her legs parting not out of duty, but desperation, as if she was chasing something she had long forgotten. And when he entered her, when his body pressed deep into hers, the world went quiet, and the only thing she heard was the rhythm of skin against skin, the throb of want blooming in her chest, and the name she nearly moaned was not her husband's. Sunlight spilled through the curtains, golden and unkind, as Julia sat at the edge of the bed. Her hair tangled her skin, marked by the night before. Her body still humming, with aftershocks of pleasure and regret. She didn't look at the man sleeping beside her. Not right away. She stared at the wall, instead at the silence she had created between her and Daniel. A silence that might never be broken again. She rose slowly, gathered her clothes piece by piece. The air felt too cold, too real. Her fingers trembled as she zipped her dress as though sealing in a secret. She would never speak aloud. The man behind her stirred, his voice thick with sleep. "You were amazing," he said, and she gave him nothing in return. No smile, no word, just a glance that could freeze fire. When she returned to the car, Daniel looked at her for a long time, his eyes scanning her face, her body, as if trying to read the story in her silence. She didn't speak, and neither did he, but the air between them was heavy with the price they both knew had been paid. He reached over, touched her hand, his voice hollow. "I did it. I got the promotion." She looked at him, then really looked, and for a second, she saw the boy she had once loved. the man who had once made promises in candlelight, and kisses the man who now sat beside her, afraid to ask what she had given to get him where he wanted to be. "Good," she said, her voice steady. Then she turned to the window, watching the city blur by, while inside her 1,000 things screamed to be spoken, and none could find their way out. But that night she didn't sleep. Not right away. She lay beside him, listening to the rhythm of his breathing, remembering the feel of another man's hands, the way her body had betrayed her mind, the way she had arched into touch that was not meant for her, and hated that she hadn't hated it at all. Daniel whispered, "I love you," in the dark, but the words fell flat between them, like petals on cold marble. And she knew then that some prices once paid could never be undone. And deep down beneath the guilt and the ache, she also knew that part of her wanted to feel that way again. Not for Daniel, not for love, but for the fire that came when she stopped pretending.